Welcome to All Force e-learning. Now today in this session we are going to discuss placenta formation. Now this is the topic we are going to discuss about. What is actually placenta? Now after implantation, this is the blastocyst get attached to the uterine endometrium with the help of trophectoderm or trophoblastic cells. Now then it produces a syncytiotrophoblast. This is the syncytiotrophoblast having villi like structures and get attached. Now this attachment is useful for deriving nourishment. Now this structure is what we are saying placenta. Placenta is that structure which is useful for the derive nourishment. Now this is a syncytiotrophoblast. Now towards syncytiotrophoblast, the villi which are from the chorion, now this is chorionic villi, they grow and forms here chorionic villi. These are the chorionic villi. Now these chorionic villi along with the blood vessels of the mother, that is maternal uterine endometrium, the blood vessels from the uterine endometrium along with these finger like structures, what we are saying chorionic villi, together form a connection. That connection is what we are saying placenta. Placenta is the connection between the developing embryo with that of maternal endometrium. A connection, it is a connection between the developing, this is uterine endometrium and the chorionic villi. Now it means the placenta has following part, it has both a fetal part as well as maternal part. Now what are the structures which are there in the maternal part? Now this is maternal part as well as fetal part. What are the parts? Maternal part. The maternal part consists of uterine epithelium, uterine epithelium, uterine connective tissue, as well as uterine capillaries, nothing but the endothelium of the uterus, uterine capillaries. Now this is the maternal part of the placenta, whereas the fetal part of a placenta, now it include the fetal epithelium, this is fetal epithelium as well as fetal connective tissue, fetal capillaries, that is fetal capillaries means fetal blood vessels, fetal capillaries. Now these structures of the maternal part, now these structures of the fetal part, they get interdigitated. It means from the mother there are finger like villi, from the fetus there will be finger like process. These two get interdigitated. Now this interdigitated of these two structure is what we are saying connection between the developing embryo and the uterine endometrium. Now these two together forms placenta. This is how placenta is formed. Now listen here, soon after the implantation it produces syncytio. Now this is that syncytiotrophoblast. The cells get fused. Then a structure is formed called as chorion. How this chorion is formed? This is the somatic, extrasomatic, what we call it as extrasomatic mesoderm along with the epiblast or trophectoderm together form trophectoderm along with the extra embryonic mesoderm. This is a somatic mesoderm. Together form, these are the villi like outgrowth. This is cells grow in size. Now these are called as chorionic villi. Now this chorionic villi are formed on all the sides because it get embedded. These chorionic villi are produced around, but only the chorionic villi towards this is basalis of the uterus. They alone present, all the other they get degenerated soon or later. Because here from this there will be a connecting stalk which is arising. Now which forms here, the connecting stalk forms umbilical cord in the later stage. Okay. Now these structures and these structures they get interdigitated to form this structure. Now when these villi they grow, then they release some chemicals which make the blood vessels of the maternal tissue, that is uterine endometrium, to rupture. And here it also forms, these are what we call it as lacunae in the uterine endometrium. Now this blood flows into this lacunae, and this blood which is filled here. Now this is the source for energy for the developing embryo. Now later these villi become primary villi, they become secondary villi, they become tertiary villi, highly folded, and the mother, from the mother also there is the blood vessels which arises here, and they get interdigitated so that the blood is in direct contact here with that of villi. Now these villi which are produced is direct contact with the blood filled cavities. These are the blood filled cavities that called as lacunae. Now these lacunae, the blood is there, and these are the villi which are present side by side. Now by process of diffusion the materials from the mother are exchanged. This structure is what we are referring as placenta. Now after this is when the placenta is formed. After 3 to 4 months later, the placenta, the blood vessels which are there, they form only towards the basal side, they form a cord, what we call it as umbilical cord. Okay. Now soon after it get attached, the branching takes place from the blood vessels here and the villi here, and they get interdigitated, and the exchange of nutrients takes place for getting these embryo nourished. Now this structure is what we are saying placenta. Okay. Now this placenta is useful for what purpose? What is the function of this placenta? Now how it is useful, this placenta? Now soon actually what are the hormones which are produced? The functions of placenta, include, this is exchange of gases between the fetus and the mother. This is exchange of gases, that is O2 and CO2. O2 is taken from the mother and CO2 is released into the mother circulation. This is exchange of gases. As well as placenta is also useful for deriving nutrients from the mother, derives nourishment from the mother, as well as it also useful for, that is removal of waste, excretory waste, that is removal of nitrogenous waste, this is excretion. Now also the placenta avoids blood pressure from the mother, maternal blood pressure, avoids maternal blood pressure, Also some of the antibodies also passes from the mother to the fetus, that is IgG antibodies are useful for the purpose. This is giving passive immunity to the fetus. This placenta also helps in this process. Now these are the functions which are performed by the placenta. Placenta performs here exchange of gases, derive nourishment, waste materials are removed, avoids maternal blood pressure, as well as passes some of the antibodies which are useful for the passive immunity, that is IgG antibodies. Now, apart from this, there are some harmful pathogens may also pass through the placenta if mother is affected with some diseases like HIV or HBV, this is hepatitis B, etc. Nowadays, Zika virus. Now, there are certain viruses also pass through the placenta with some drugs may also crosses the placenta. Now, they are called as a teratogens, which may leads to deformities in the embryo if they pass through the placenta, otherwise no problem at all. Now, this is placenta functions helps, this is for this purpose. Okay. Now, when soon the attachment with the uterine endometrium, the placenta releases a hormone. What is that hormone which is released by the maternal uterine endometrium soon after the formation of placenta? Now, here when the attachment takes place, now this placenta releases HCG, this is human chorionic gonadotrophin. Now, soon after attachment to the uterine endometrium, it produces, this is what we are saying, human chorionic gonadotrophin. Now, this human chorionic gonadotrophin, it acts on what is this structure which is there in the ovary. This is nothing but corpus luteum. Now, corpus luteum, which is get degenerated soon after what we are calling at the end of the menstrual cycle, the progesterone levels drop when the corpus luteum degenerates and it forms corpus albicans. But here, after the attachment, the placenta, it produces human chorionic gonadotropin. Now, which has the effect like that of LH, and it activates the corpus luteum. It will activates the corpus luteum. Then the corpus luteum begins to release progesterone still 3 to 4 months. Now, this corpus luteum is called as corpus luteum of pregnancy. Now, what we are saying, the human chorionic gonadotropin is released by the placenta when it get attached to the, it means implantation, soon after implantation. Soon after implantation, it releases human chorionic gonadotropin, which activates the corpus luteum still to produce what we call it as progesterone. Now, this is the hormone which is useful for the purpose, that is maintaining the uterine endometrium still for the 3 to 4 months, and this corpus luteum is called as corpus luteum of pregnancy. This corpus luteum, now it is called as corpus luteum of pregnancy. Now, this human chorionic gonadotropin is lost through urine. This is lost through urine. The residues of this HCG, human chorionic gonadotropin, is absorbed in urine. If the female is conceived, that is become pregnant. If the female get pregnant, this is the one which is released through urine. Now, we perform a test for the presence of HCG. If the HCG is present in the urine, now confirming pregnancy. Now, this test, pregnancy test, is what we call it as Gravidex test. Gravidex test. Now, this is the pregnancy test which is performed. If the urine has HCG, then it is confirming pregnancy. That means the uterine endometrium get implanted. If it get implanted, that implantation results in release of HCG, which activates corpus luteum. Now, this corpus luteum works for 3 to 4 months and still releases progesterone. This progesterone maintains pregnancy. Now, hence this corpus luteum which is working for 3 to 4 months, this is called as now corpus luteum of pregnancy. Okay. Now, this is what the progesterone levels are always maintained. Hence, progesterone is called as the hormone of pregnancy. or anti-abortion hormone, or pregnancy hormone. Okay. Now, apart from HCG, human chorionic gonadotrophin, what are the other hormones which are released by the placenta? Placenta also release here. This is the progesterone, estrogen, as well as, apart from this progesterone and estrogen, HPL. This is human placental lactogen. This is HPL, human placental lactogen. Now also called as somatomemotropin, somatomemotropin. Now this HPL or somatomemotropin, this has anti-insulin effect. That means it increases the concentration of glycogens and lipids as well as proteins, so that it make available to the growing embryo, later fetus. Now it means here this HPL has anti-insulin effect, increasing the glycogen and lipids in the blood, thereby provides nourishment to the developing embryo. Okay. Now this is HPL, human placental lactogen, HCG, human chorionic gonadotrophin, progesterone, estrogen. Now remember here, only the hormones which are released during pregnancy, are this is HCG, human chorionic gonadotrophin, HPL, human placental lactogen, as well as relaxin. Now these are the hormone only released during pregnancy, only released during pregnancy, are human chorionic gonadotrophin, human placental lactogen, relaxin. Now apart from this, progesterone, estrogen is also released. Now this progesterone and estrogen is useful for maintaining the uterine endometrium. Then what are the other hormones which are released and increase in its concentration? What are those? Several folds, there will be increase in its hormones. What are the other hormones which are released in several folds? It means higher concentration during pregnancy. They are, here is thyroxine, as well as there is cortisol, thyroxine, cortisol. Now they are released in the blood and several folds, it means increase in its higher concentration. Thyroxine is released, cortisol is released, many folds means several times, it's several times, multiple times it is released here. It means at high concentration, several folds increase in the thyroxine as well as cortisol. Now relaxin, this is useful for relaxation of pelvic ligaments during parturition at the end of the pregnancy. This is released. Okay. Now these are some of the hormones which are released by the placenta. Okay. Now to maintain this is pregnancy. Now when the pregnancy is at the end, it means at the end means at the last stage, when required. Here what we are saying, when it reaches at the last stage. Now it is how it appears inside. This is the baby. Here this is the baby. Now get attached to this umbilical cord. Now this is the amniotic sac. Now this is amniotic sac and these are the chorionic villi. This is chorion. Now this is attached to this uterine endometrium. This is how it looks like. Yolk sac is degenerated. Now allantois is present but not useful for excretion. Now through this is what we are saying, umbilical cord is formed. the placenta inside, jelly like connective tissue, what we call it as Wharton's jelly, is formed around the, now inside there are two arteries and one vein, two arteries and one vein. Now these are what they are connected to the maternal, this is what we are saying, the uterine endometrium. It is connected to the uterine endometrium by this umbilical cord, and it consists of two arteries, one vein. Now the vein it is, but it carries oxygenated blood. This is a umbilical vein but carries oxygenated blood. Now at the final stage it looks like this. This is amniotic fluid. Now this is the placenta part which is connected here by a cord like structure called as umbilical cord. Okay. Now this is a placenta formation, what its function, what are the hormones which are produced and how they are useful. Very important structure for maintaining the pregnancy. Okay. Now this is the placenta formation. Now here how many days actually this embryo grows and fetus is formed and finally ejected out, this is parturition take place, how many days? Now if you observe the pregnancy, how many days actually the pregnancy is? This is period, time period, this is what we call it as gestation period. Gestation period. What is the gestation period in humans? Now this is 266 days, or otherwise we use the term this is 9 months. That is what is gestation period? The intrauterine development, the time period required for the development of the embryo and fetus finally up to the infant stage, that is intrauterine development. How many days it takes? It takes 266 days or 9 months. Now this is after fertilization. At the last menstrual cycle too, if you consider to the last menstrual cycle, this is 280 days. 280 days from last menstrual cycle. It means another 15 days. Another 15 days, this is 280 days from last menstrual cycle or after fertilization. After fertilization, it is 260 days or 9 months. What is this gestation period means? This is intrauterine development period. The time period required for the intrauterine development. How many days it requires? This is 260 days after fertilization or otherwise 280 days from the last month of menstrual cycle in women. This is the gestation period. Okay. A human placenta type, human placenta types. Now how many types the human placenta is considered as? Now human placenta is considered as hemochorial, hemochorial type because the chorionic villi is in direct contact with the blood vessels here. Now hence this type of placenta is hemo means blood, chorion, this is chorionic villi is in direct contact with the blood. Now hence we call this as hemochorial type. The placenta in humans is hemochorial type of placenta. This is hemochorial type because the chorionic villi are in connection with the blood of the mother, maternal, connected, this is are connected to the blood of uterine endometrium. Now hence we are saying this is hemochorial type. Then it is also called as, the placenta is also called as discoidal, metadiscoidal type. Human placenta is also called as metadiscoidal type. It means here the one part here, this is a disc shaped part, it is not, the villi are produced here in this region, but these villi are not able to produce any thing, they get degenerated. Now all these chorionic villi are concentrated one side forming a disc-like structure. This is what we are saying metadiscoidal type. The human placenta is considered as hemocorial type as well as metadiscoidal because all villi, this is chorionic villi, all the chorionic villi, they form a disc at later stage, form a disc at later stage. Now hence we are saying metadiscoidal, the placenta is considered as metadiscoidal type. Now also here this placenta considered as a deciduate placenta, deciduate. Now what is, why actually it is also called as deciduate placenta? Now this is the uterine endometrium. Uterine endometrium along with the umbilical cord, the entire connective tissue comes out. It means the decidua of the uterus also comes out through the vagina. This is what excess loss of blood connective tissue takes place soon after birth. Hence we are saying this is a deciduate placenta. The placenta is considered as hemocorial type, metadiscoidal type, deciduate placenta. Also it is also called as chorioallantoic placenta. Chorioallantoic placenta it is also called as, because during the process of formation of placenta, from here the hind area there is allantois which joins the chorion to form this structure, what we call it as a placenta. Now hence allantois joining the chorion to form chorioallantoic placenta. Now human placenta is considered as the following: hemocorial type, metadiscoidal type, deciduate type, chorioallantoic type of placenta. This is due to the blood coming in contact with the chorionic villi. This is due to the formation of disc. Now this is due to the formation of loss of entire decidua during parturition. Now this is chorioallantoic because chorion, the allantois fuses here with chorion to form chorioallantoic. Okay. Now this is types of placenta in human. This is 4 types. It is considered as hemocorial, metadiscoidal, deciduate as well as chorioallantoic. Okay, thank you.